When I reached the age of 60, my wife, Sarah, took her own life with an overdose of medication. In her final moments, before she passed away, she looked at me calmly and said, "I regret marrying you. Now that I'm older, I've come to realize something important. Money is only something external. It doesn't bring true happiness. Love is what truly sustains you and helps you through life. If I had the chance to live my life over again, I would marry the person I truly loved." Suddenly, I found myself standing at Sarah's engagement party. I watched as she held up a ring, displaying it to her first love, a man named Mike. She looked at him with affection and asked, "Mike, you once told me that if I was ever willing, you would marry me. Does that offer still stand?" He was so overcome with emotion that he could only respond with tears. In that instant, I understood that she had been given another chance at life, just like in some kind of dream. I made the decision to be happy for her and Mike, even though it was strange. I walked over and handed Mike the other engagement ring that had been meant for me. Yet, later on, at what was supposed to be my wedding to Sarah in this new reality, she looked at me with tearful eyes and asked if I was rejecting her because of another woman. The confusion was overwhelming. Then, I woke up again, finding myself back at the moment before Sarah approached Mike at the engagement party. This time, I saw her rushing towards him, a ring in her hand. She reached him, and without hesitation asked, "Mike, does that offer still stand?" The people around us were completely taken aback by her boldness. Sarah's parents immediately tried to intervene, rushing towards her to stop her, but she pulled away. Her eyes filled with tears as she looked at the stunned crowd. "You're the ones who are crazy!" she exclaimed. "I don't care about money. All I want is Mike. John," she said, turning to me, "I don't love you. All you have is money." I let out a small, bitter laugh, but it was also filled with relief. It seemed she had also been given a second chance, just like me. In another life, she had told me she regretted marrying me and wished she had made a different choice. Now she was getting her wish. Mike embraced her, his voice thick with emotion as he said, "Yes, it still stands." I took the other ring from the officiant and quietly said, "Congratulations to you both." Mike looked surprised at how easily I was letting her go. Sarah's initial shock quickly turned into joy as they walked away together, seemingly chasing their own version of happiness. The guests around us began to whisper, clearly uneasy about the unexpected turn of events. The engagement party had turned into a complete fiasco. Sarah's father approached me, looking apologetic. "John, I am so sorry for this mess," he said, trying to force a smile. Her mother chimed in, offering a string of excuses for Sarah's behavior. I didn't feel any anger towards them. It was the same as before, with them apologizing while Sarah created chaos. "It's over between us," I said calmly. "There's no need to try and bring her back." Their faces immediately fell, turning sour. "John, you're calling off the engagement over this little thing?" Sarah's mother protested, still trying to maintain a semblance of a smile. I chuckled, unimpressed. "Ma'am, what reputation are you talking about?" Her face contorted with anger, turning several shades of red, but I didn't stay to argue. I turned and headed towards my car. "John!" her father called after me, his voice filled with anxiety, but I didn't look back. "Drive me home," I told my driver. In another life, I had defied my own grandfather for Sarah, giving up valuable family connections and risking everything. No one from my family had even attended our wedding, and I had ultimately lost everything. My grandfather had never forgiven me, even refusing to say a final goodbye before he passed away. Back at my own home, I explained everything that had happened. "Unbelievable!" my grandfather scolded, his voice booming through the house. "How dare they treat us like this? my mother cried, tears streaming down her face. I told you Sarah wasn't good enough for you, dear, my father interrupted gently. Ma, please don't cry, I comforted her. Maybe next time you'll find someone better, she said, her voice thick with tears, but she managed to chuckle, teasing me. You're still joking. My grandfather's voice was firm. John, we will make this right. This ends here. Sarah and I are done. She's as good as a stranger to me now. There should be consequences for this, my grandfather insisted, but I stood my ground. I'm focusing on the company now. He looked at me, a hint of pride in his eyes this time. I had let him down before, but not this time. The next few days were entirely consumed by work. Sarah's drama was completely ignored. I had a series of important dinner meetings with major clients, pushing hard to expand our business internationally. During a brief break, I stood by a window, lighting a cigarette, when I overheard a commotion nearby. Can you believe it? In-laws! You chose well dumping that rich kid for Mike, Sarah said smugly. John might be rich, but money isn't happiness, she continued with disdain. I paused, listening from the shadows as she went on. Even if Mike had said no, I wasn't going to marry John again either. What does he even have besides a little money? My parents insisted I marry him back then, but I didn't want to. I'm better than your ex-husband, right? Mike's voice carried a hint of smugness. He tightened his grip on Sarah's waist a little more. Of course, Sarah answered without hesitation, her tone full of certainty. Mike's smile grew more self-satisfied, and the people around them joined in with teasing, offering endless flattery and praise. I took a deep breath, suppressing my anger, and turned to leave. John? Sarah's surprised voice suddenly came from behind me. I paused in my steps. Whoa, isn't that John? Mike, still holding Sarah's waist, smirked smugly. Why are you here, smoking your blues away all by yourself? Feeling uncomfortable seeing me with Sarah? What are you doing here? Sarah looked me up and down, her tone full of accusation. Are you stalking me again? You're disgusting. I kept a straight face, my tone indifferent as I replied, I'm not stalking you. Just a coincidence. Liar! Sarah glared at me angrily. I'm telling you, John, stop stalking or harassing me. We're done. I chuckled, a hint of sarcasm in my voice. Sarah, are you overestimating yourself? I'd rather never see you again in this life. I knew why she didn't trust me. She always said she was going out late at night, and I would follow her out of worry, concerned she might get into trouble. The ridiculous thing was, she saw it as stalking and harassment. Sarah started to say something, but Mike stopped her. All right, Sarah. Don't be so upset, Mike said, his voice gentle and doting, yet still smug. He embraced Sarah's waist, looking at me provocatively. John, fancy meeting you here, having dinner. Sarah playfully gave him a shove, but her eyes and brows bore a hint of pride. I shot him a cold glance, saying nothing. Since it's such a coincidence, why not join us? Mike continued, a hint of challenge in his tone. No need. I have things to do. I turned smoothly and walked away. John, your phone's ringing. My secretary, Lily, walked up beside me, whispering softly. I took the phone and gave her a faint smile. Sarah eyed Lily warily and said with a sharp tone, Who's she? Why are you here together? Lily, dressed in a smart, professional outfit, had her long black hair resting on her shoulders. Her delicate makeup highlighted her fair skin, giving off an air of elegance and intelligence. In the past, to avoid any misunderstanding, I had never hired a female secretary, only male staff around me. But now, I didn't care what Sarah thought at all. I cast her a cold glance, saying, None of your business. What? Already rushing to find a replacement? Sarah sneered. Your family's rich, but not royalty. No need to hurry to marry and have an heir, right? Lily chuckled softly, replying calmly, "Miss, with your image, you're far from being someone's replacement." Sarah's face turned livid with anger at once. "Let's go," I said coldly to Lily, turning to leave. Lily followed closely behind. Sarah grabbed my arm, her sharp nails almost digging into my flesh. "John, I forbid you from being with her." I shook off her hand in annoyance, rubbing where she had hurt me. "Sarah, what right do you have to say that? We're over. You can't control who I'm with," I said firmly. Sarah stepped closer, her tone challenging. "Will you dare not listen to me?" I looked at Sarah, my tone calm but with unwavering determination. "Sarah, we no longer have anything to do with each other. You can't meddle in my private life, and you certainly can't interfere with my decisions." Sarah wanted to say more, but I didn't want to argue with her any longer, cutting her off directly. "If you keep causing trouble, don't blame me for being rude." I grabbed Lily's hand and headed into the private room, leaving Sarah standing there, shaking with anger. A few drinks in, Sarah sent me a message. It was just one sentence. "John, you'll regret it." I sneered and immediately blocked her number. Soon after, my phone buzzed again. This time it was a transaction notification. Her credit card, ending in a specific number, had been used for a $20,000 purchase. I frowned, opening the details and realizing the money had been spent here at the club. Seeing this message, I found it rather amusing. I had thought Sarah had more self-respect, acting all decisive in front of me, but it turned out she was still using my credit card behind my back. Sarah had always been like this, cold to me but reckless with my money, never knowing the meaning of thrift. When we had first gotten married, my grandfather had frozen all my assets, and I couldn't afford her extravagant spending. I had tried talking to her about it, but it only led to endless arguments. I had to work several jobs just to keep up with her extravagance, but now I wouldn't indulge her anymore. "What's wrong, John?" Lily asked, noticing my expression. "It's nothing," I said, handing her my phone, my tone steady. "Call the bank and cancel all my supplementary cards." "Sure, I'll handle it." If she hated my family's wealth so much, then she shouldn't want both. I was curious how long she and her true love would last. The next day, as soon as I reached the office building, I saw two familiar figures approaching me, one right after the other. "John," Sarah started, her tone a mix of panic and anger. "What's the meaning of this? Why can't I use my card?" I halted, looking at her expressionlessly. "It has been canceled." Sarah's voice rose sharply. "How dare you cancel my card?" I stared at her coldly. "What I gave, I can take back." "What? Without me, you can't even afford basic necessities? Is your true love not willing to spend on you?" "John, don't be like this," Mike said, putting his arm out to shield Sarah, looking all righteous and serious. "Sarah left you to find her own happiness. How can you push her like this?" "Push her?" I replied, my tone laced with sarcasm. "Sarah and I are done. I just paused her card. Simple as that. Didn't you say you loved her? Are you telling me you can't even cover her living expenses?" Mike's face fell, his mouth opening to argue, but he couldn't find the words. Of course he couldn't afford it. He was seeking a sugar mama himself. How was he supposed to support Sarah? Seeing Mike stuck, Sarah couldn't help but pipe up. "John, don't push it. You're just mad that Mike and I are good together and trying to get me back. If you don't unfreeze that card, I'll sue you for not treating your ex-wife right." I looked at her, suddenly finding it laughable. I had once thought Sarah was the sweetest, most innocent woman, and I was willing to give up everything for her. But in the end, she had turned out to be a pretentious, vain woman. "Go ahead and sue," I said coldly. "Sarah, one last time it's over. Don't bother me anymore." With that, I didn't look back, heading straight into the office. I hadn't been at my desk long before my phone rang. It was the housekeeper from the East Side villa. "John, it's bad. Sarah barged into the villa with some people, took all the valuables, and is fighting with the security." I pinched the bridge of my nose, my voice showing no emotion as I replied, "Call the cops." Half an hour later, I arrived at the police station. Even before stepping inside, I heard Sarah yelling, "These are my things! Why arrest me?" Seeing me, Sarah's eyes showed a moment of guilt, but it quickly turned to arrogance and anger. "John, you actually called the cops on me? Are you heartless?" "Sarah, get real. You're breaking and entering and trying to steal. I'm the victim here. That villa was our marital asset. What's wrong with me taking my own stuff?" I couldn't help but chuckle. "Sarah, did you forget? Or are you just acting clueless? We didn't even get married. The villa is my personal property now. What right do you have to take anything?" Sarah was at a loss for words, her face flushing red then white. I turned to the police officer, speaking calmly. "Officer, Sarah broke into my home and tried to take my things. I hope you handle this fairly." Mike stepped up in front of Sarah, speaking righteously. "Officer, there must be some misunderstanding. John, don't let your grudge ruin Sarah's name. She was just getting her stuff." "Was done with the nonsense. Using your brain would be nice, Mike," I retorted. "Officer, the security footage is clear. My lawyer will follow up." Mike, realizing things were looking bad, tried to mediate. "John, we messed up today. We were acting foolish. Please let it go for old time's sake." I had already looked into Mike's past. He was a gold digger, relying on his looks to charm rich ladies. To him, Sarah was probably just an ATM, and she foolishly thought she had found true love. With no intention of more arguing, I said to the police officer, "Please file this formally. I'm not agreeing to any settlement." Then I left, leaving Sarah and Mike fuming. Sarah's escapade ended with an attempt to steal and a hefty fine. Recently, my mom had been busy arranging blind dates for me. Honestly, I wasn't interested, but she insisted, so I agreed to meet one. The planned spot was a fancy restaurant. When I arrived, my date was already there. "Emily?" I asked, surprised, recognizing my high school classmate. The quiet, well-mannered girl I remembered, with long black hair and a shy smile. "Long time no see, John," she greeted warmly. The Emily before me was now more refined, carrying the grace of a mature woman. We talked about everything, from our school days to our current jobs and lives. We shared many common interests, and her eloquence and insight impressed me. "I heard there's a new theme park at the city outskirts with a fireworks show at night. Haven't seen it yet, have you?" I suggested. "How about we go together tomorrow?" She smiled and agreed. I got to our meeting spot early and soon saw Emily approaching. "Sorry I'm late," she said. "No worries, I just got here," I replied, handing her a cup of milk tea. "Let's find a good spot." We strolled together towards the plaza, chatting and laughing. The mood was relaxed and fun. Just as we reached the entrance, I stopped short, spotting Sarah arguing loudly with Mike at a ticket window. "This fireworks show is a waste. You can see it from outside for free," Mike said, clearly frustrated. "I don't care. I want to go in and get the best tickets," Sarah insisted. "The better seats are $1,500. Are you crazy? It's not worth it for some fireworks." "I don't care. I'm going." People in line behind them began to complain. "Come on. Are you buying or not? There's a line here." "Yeah, move it, Sarah." Feeling embarrassed, Sarah seemed about to lash out, but then spotted me in the crowd. Her face turned sour. "I'll pay for 2 tickets to the best section, please," Sarah said. "Sarah, you're the best," Mike said, a big grin on his face. "You should have just paid earlier. Problem solved." He was still going on and on about the ticket price, but Sarah walked right up to me, her eyes darting between me and Emily. "So," she said, "you've got a new flame already?" I didn't even blink. "Mind your own business," I replied coolly. "Who I'm with is none of your concern." "How can it not be?" Sarah snapped. "We are, or were, married after all." I took a step back, putting some distance between us. "Didn't you ditch our wedding?" I shot back with a cold chuckle. Before Sarah could respond, Emily chimed in with a gracious smile. "Hi, I'm Emily, John's fiancée," she said lightly, linking her arm with mine. "We owe you, Sarah. Since you let John go, we wouldn't be so happy together otherwise, right, love?" She dragged out the word love on purpose, making it sound playful. I wrapped an arm around her waist, leaning in to whisper, "You're really good at pushing buttons." Emily rolled her eyes at me, but her smile told another story. Sarah's face turned various shades before she sneered. "Don't get too cocky. You just picked up someone else's leftovers. Love in a family-arranged marriage? You're dreaming. It won't last." Emily arched her brow. "Really? What about love that can't even afford one fireworks ticket? Is that happy, Sarah? Maybe you should focus on your own situation before you end up all alone with nothing." Sarah shook with rage, but I didn't let her finish. "All right, we're buying tickets," I said, steering Emily towards the window. We walked into the amusement park together, leaving Sarah and Mike to bicker behind us. "Don't mind them," I told Emily quietly. "They're just buskills." My mood noticeably lifted once we were inside the park. Emily was like a kid, dragging me to see everything. The fireworks lit up the sky beautifully, and watching her smile, I couldn't help but grin too. After the show, as we walked back to the car, Emily said, "Today was so fun." "Yeah, it was," I agreed. Emily suddenly stopped and looked at me. "Did you ever really love Sarah?" she asked. "I did," I admitted. "When we got married, I thought it would be forever. But marriage isn't a fairy tale, and life isn't a TV drama. Over time, things just broke down. I probably should have seen Sarah's indifference for what it was. She'd always pull back from me, even with the simplest gestures. I noticed her distance, but I loved her too much. I thought maybe I wasn't good or considerate enough. The first winter after we married, Sarah fell sick. I stayed by her side all night, and while she was half delirious, she kept mumbling sorry in a weak voice. She asked if she shouldn't have married me. I joked, saying, "Silly, who else would you marry then?" Even as I heard her mumble a name. Mike. Her first love from way back, the one she never got over. Maybe it's because you can't have what you want when you're young that it becomes more precious. Thinking of it now, it's in the past. "Yeah, the past," Emily nodded. "Let's leave it there." We walked on in silence, soaking in the calm night with its dim streetlights. She took my hand, giving me a gentle squeeze. I squeezed back, feeling the cool softness of her hand. She looked at me and smiled, her eyes filled with warmth. Being with Emily was a natural fit for both our families. My mom even used trending topics online to spread news of our engagement, complete with a picture of me on one knee, as I proposed to Emily. She held flowers, radiant and smiling, and people couldn't stop showering us with compliments, calling us a perfect match. I was busy planning the wedding when Sarah showed up again. I was knee-deep in work at the office when Sarah barged in, throwing herself at me. "John, don't marry her. I messed up. I really messed up. I've been thinking about you and it's driving me crazy," she cried, clearly annoyed. I pushed her away. "How did you even get in here?" Only then did Sarah seem to notice my cold demeanor. She stammered, She was wearing last year's Chanel dress, and her bag was just as outdated, looking well kept but not new. Sarah, who usually wore only the latest styles, seemed like she hadn't done too well without me. "Get out," I said, having run out of patience. "You're not welcome here." Sarah bit her lip, tears threatening to fall. "John, please don't be like this. Be nice to me." "Have some decency," I interrupted coldly. "My fiancé will be here soon." At those words, Sarah's face lost all color. It was like she had just remembered something, and she said urgently, "I know you came back to life too. Let's start over. Life without money is hell." I swatted her hand away like it was something filthy and wiped mine on my trousers. "No idea what you're talking about," I said. "But please leave my office. Otherwise I'll call security." She started undoing the buttons on her coat, piece by piece. She shed her layers until she was left with nothing but a skimpy, alluring set of underwear. "John," she bit her lip, eyes brimming with tears. "I am willing to marry you again. Please don't marry her." I suddenly pulled open the door and yelled out, "Call security!" My secretary rushed over, freezing at the sight of the scene. I shot Sarah a cold glance, my voice as icy as it gets. "Throw her out for me." Secretary Lynn stepped forward to pull Sarah away, but she clung to my clothes desperately. "John, don't treat me like this. I know you still have feelings for me. We're the true couple here." Disgusted, I shook her hand off. "Don't touch me." The office door creaked open, and Emily walked in with a thermal container, smiling warmly. "John, I made your favorite soup today." Emily's smile froze immediately, looking at Sarah's nearly bare state in disbelief. Before I could explain, Sarah rushed over to Emily. "What are you? Just a stand-in? John doesn't love you, he loves me!" My heart clenched as I instinctively tried to shield Emily, but Sarah was quicker, shoving past me and kneeling before Emily. "I'm begging you, please give John back to me. I'm his wife. We even have a child." My face turned dark as coal at her words. This woman, to reach her goal, had even brought a fake child into this. We had dated, but I had never even touched her, and now she was spinning lies to gain sympathy. "Sarah, stop fabricating nonsense. I never touched you. I'm about to marry Emily. Don't disrupt our lives anymore." Sarah sat on the floor in disbelief, staring at me. "John, how could you do this to me? Have you forgotten your vows? You said you'd love me forever and take care of me for a lifetime." I laughed coldly, cutting her off. "Sarah, be honest with yourself. Why did you want to marry me? Wasn't it just for my money? I admit I was dazzled by your looks and sweetness back then, which led me to agree to marry you. But you confessed to your first love and ran off on our wedding day. It's been over between us." Sarah wanted to say more, but a voice interrupted. "Sarah, what are you doing? Come back with me." Mike stood at the door, his face grim. "I won't go with you. Who do you think you are? A penniless loser trying to tell me what to do? You can't even afford a pink diamond for me. I haven't bought a new dress in ages." Mike's face kept changing, looking frustrated as he tried to drag Sarah away. "Sarah, stop it! Come with me!" His expression seemed more like anger than concern, but Sarah went on crying. "I'm not leaving. If not for you, I'd already be John's wife. John, say something. Tell him you love me, that you're marrying me." I impatiently told Lily to hurry and get this crazy woman out of here. Mike, embarrassed, slapped her. "Who do you think you are? Some rich heiress? A fallen phoenix is no better than a chicken. You're only thinking about money. I'm not falling for it again." With that, he turned and left without another glance at Sarah. The security arrived just then, and seeing Sarah causing a scene, dragged her out without hesitation. "John, you'll get what's coming to you. And you too, Emily, just wait." Sarah's shrieks faded into the distance as the office finally fell quiet. I rubbed my temples, feeling a wave of exhaustion. Emily stood there, pale and silent. I took her hand and softly said, "I'm sorry for scaring you." She nodded and leaned into my embrace. "It's okay, I believe you." I promised her remorsefully, "I'll make sure she doesn't bother us again." I contacted Sarah's parents right away. "If Sarah keeps harassing me," I warned them, Don't blame me for being merciless enough to close down their company." Sarah's father's small business had been struggling, relying on occasional financial aid from me. I could make it disappear with just a bit of pressure. Her parents turned pale with fear, promising to keep Sarah in check and ensure she wouldn't disturb my life again. In the days that followed, Sarah indeed stopped causing trouble. I finally breathed easy, focusing on preparing for my wedding with Emily. Emily was such a sweet and kind girl. Being with her brought back a long-lost peace and happiness. Together, we picked out the wedding dress, decorated the chapel, and dreamed about a future full of happiness. Our wedding day arrived as planned. To avoid any surprises, I had beefed up security. Every entrance was guarded by at least 4 security personnel. The sun was shining, and the chapel was adorned with flowers and ribbons, filled with joy. I stood in a sharp suit in front of the priest, nervous yet excited, waiting for my bride. When the sacred wedding march started, Emily, escorted by her father, walked towards me. She looked especially beautiful today, her white dress radiating elegance. Happiness illuminated her face like an angel descended to earth. My heart filled with joy and gratitude in that moment. "Mr. John?" The priest's solemn voice echoed through the chapel. "Do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, for richer or poorer?" I stared into Emily's eyes and firmly answered, "I do." Then, suddenly, there was a commotion at the chapel door. "John, you can't marry her. I'm your bride." My heart sank. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. How had no one stopped her? Sarah, wearing a tattered white wedding dress with messy hair and smudged makeup, was blocked at the door, looking disheveled and pathetic. Yet she kept screaming relentlessly, trying to break in. "John, look at me. I'm the one who truly loves you. How can you do this to me?" She seemed like a wounded beast, making one last desperate struggle. The guests in the church were shocked by the sudden chaos, whispering and talking among themselves. I squeezed Emily's hand and gave her a reassuring nod, signaling her not to worry. "Get this crazy woman out of here," I ordered coldly, my voice filled with disgust and impatience. The security guards acted immediately at my command, attempting to drag Sarah away. "Let me go! Let me go!" Sarah struggled desperately, but it was useless. She could only watch as Emily and I slowly walked up the steps, getting farther and farther away from her. She cried out in desperation, her voice hoarse. "John, are you really going to do this to me? Have you forgotten our past life? The promises and sweet memories?" The promises and sweet memories flooded back into my mind, making me hesitate for a moment. But all that was in the past. The person I loved now was Emily. The person I was going to marry was Emily. Looking at her, I felt no pity, only endless annoyance. "Take her away," I waved to the security, indicating them to remove Sarah. The guards lifted Sarah, dragging her out of the church. "John, I curse you! You'll never be happy in this life." Sarah's desperate curse echoed from the church entrance, reverberating in the empty church. I watched her disheveled figure leave, a cold smile forming on my lips. "Sarah, who do you think you are? How dare you curse me? Those who betray true love deserve eternal misery." I glanced at Emily, her face pale, a surge of guilt rising in my heart. "Emily, I'm sorry for scaring you." I gently pulled her into an embrace. Emily nestled against me, shaking her head softly. "I'm okay. I trust you." I held her tightly, whispering in her ear, "I love you, Emily. I'll spend my whole life loving you." Emily looked up, her eyes glistening with tears. Then she stood on tiptoe and placed a gentle kiss on my lips. "I believe you." At last I had found the happiness I was looking for.